Shores blames a financial crisis on the recession and even the BP oil spill. But an 8 on Your Side investigation reveals there is more to it than that. Tonight, investigative reporter Mark Douglas tells us that after years of silence, insiders are speaking out about what's really going on behind the scenes.
The department wouldn't tell us last week why they were poking around the Suncoast Seabird sanctuary, but former and current workers say the reason is back pay.
The day I left, I was 5 weeks behind being paid.
No paycheck for 5 weeks.
No paycheck for 5 weeks.
I personally went 6 weeks at a time without being paid.
Yeah, I still haven't gotten a paycheck, and this will be 7 weeks.
Sanctuary founder Ralph Heath refuses to talk to us about unpaid wages, the Department of Labor investigation, or the $187,000 his charity owes the IRS for payroll taxes. The last time we asked about money matters 2 years ago, he called the cops.
Well, I'd like him removed.
Can we ask you about the financial situation of the sanctuary before we leave?
You want you off the property?
Maybe he's steamed because we keep bringing up his charity's pleasure yacht, Whisker. Heath said Whisker was his research vessel. He never did explain what kind of research required a hot tub and 5 luxury staterooms. But after costing the charity more than $1 million, Whisker is now a study in decay. Closer to home is the charity's $500,000 beach house Ralph Heath lives in. It's the same one where he once let underage girls pose for a website called True Teen Babes. 2 years ago, I asked Heath if he'd consider selling the beach house and the yacht. That didn't go over well.
I will have you arrested for trespassing, as you're not allowed to be on this sanctuary property or any other sanctuary property.
We're still curious how the sanctuary spends donations, like the $300,000 that retired scientist Marie Farr donated to sponsor the Bird Hospital.
Some of the major things that Dr. Farr wanted done to the hospital, equipment, electrical repairs, those type of things.
Former Sanctuary board member and fundraiser Michelle Simoneau says the only improvement she recalls was a nameplate. Was the hospital renovated with that $300,000?
No, it was not.
Where did the money go?
I don't know.
Simoneau tells me she also helped the sanctuary win a $250,000 grant from Walmart that was supposed to buy, among other things, a walk-in freezer.
That was one of many things that were never completed.
Simoneau says she argued about the grant spending with operations manager Mickey Eslick, who is Ralph Heath's cousin and one of 4 Heath family members who run the sanctuary.
I would say we need to use this money for what it was intended, or we're going to get in trouble. And that just continued to go on and on and on until I finally had to leave.
In May, Heath flew to Washington with a baby pelican in hand to accept a $100,000 check from the ambassador of Qatar. He said the money would fortify the sanctuary's hurricane evacuation warehouse. But former volunteer coordinator Robin Vergara says when Hurricane Debbie threatened, Eslick told him by email, "We don't have a warehouse to house the birds."
So I pushed him in person, and then I was immediately, not long after that, fired.
Ralph Heath's latest campaign is an urgent plea to raise $100,000 for bird food. He blames the BP oil spill and recent storms for wiping out fish in the Gulf. But marine scientists say if there's a fish shortage, that's news to them.
In fact, 2012 was one of the biggest years we've had for some of these species in coastal waters.
Sanctuary insiders say Heath's BP baloney is one more sign of his desperation.
Their excuses are starting to run out, and it's a train wreck waiting to happen.
They've lost faith.
The people in charge now, I believe, are the most unprofessional and incompetent people that have ever been there.
I wouldn't donate $1 to the Seabird Sanctuary because I know that it can never be explained to me where that dollar is going.
They say sanctuary donors deserve to know what's really going on behind the scenes.
I regret that I haven't told the story before now.
Founder Ralph Heath and his operations manager Mickey Eslick, who is also his cousin, refused to speak to us about anything involving the sanctuary, but board member Jerry Allen is talking. Allen told me the sanctuary is selling off things like its only truck, plans to sell the pleasure yacht Whisker for junk parts, and has just paid its current payroll tax bill from the IRS. Allen says the labor investigation is over, even though the Labor Department says it is not. And he also says the gifts and grants that Michelle Semino talked about were never earmarked for capital improvements and were spent on fish and wages. He blames the employee rumor mill for all the negative talk lately about the way the sanctuary does business, Keith.
Well, it sounds like if there's any agreement, it's that the place may be in financial trouble. I mean, what do we know about the financial picture of this sanctuary?
And that's one of the problems. The most recent report to the IRS is more than 2 years old, so we really don't have a current picture, but there are all kinds of troubling signs. The Heaths sold their family property where the sanctuary sits to private investors this year. The watchdog group Charity Navigator gives the sanctuary a 1-star rating out of a possible 4, and people who have tirelessly worked there for years with little or no pay, including some who still do, said they wouldn't give a dime to that organization. So not a good sign for her.
Sounds like a donor beware kind of a story.
Absolutely.
And as you point out, maybe the beginning of the end for the sanctuary.
Well, if the people who work there wouldn't donate, why should the public?
All right, Mark, thanks.